Friends, I'm here again with another episode of my Saturday Wisdom. This time, it's about a socially relevant subject, that of banning the use of single-use plastic. I hope you will like what I present. Each year, we produce hundreds of millions of tons of plastic, most of which cannot be recycled. Now, it's therefore necessary that we must use less plastic, move towards environmentally more sustainable products and services, and come up with technology that recycles plastic more efficiently than what is done today. Now, that being the objective, the Government of India's ban on the use of single-use plastic items, which came into force, from the 1st of July this year, is very, very welcome. Any packaging that uses plastics under 100 microns, such as, used for straws, cutlery, packaging items, films, balloons, sweet boxes, ice cream containers, PVC banners, cigarette packets, and certain styrofoam items will henceforth be a strict no. This is as it should be. Should have been done much earlier. Plastic is made directly from the fossil fuels. Did you know that? Even its production, causes pollution. Not only plastic, even its production causes, poison. About 4% of the world's oil production is estimated to be used to make plastics. However, what all constitutes single-use plastic needs clarity of intent and purpose for the ban to be effective. Otherwise, we will have so many rules, one more added to that, but life is as usual. The Earth Policy Institute, an independent non-profit environmental organization, it's based in Washington, and it reported that nearly 1 trillion plastic bags being used worldwide and 8 million tons of plastic is washed into the oceans every year, pushing the world to a plastic pollution crisis. India generated something lesser than that, 26,000 tons per day plastic, and it's a waste in the year 1718. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, 15,600 tons per day, or 60% of what was produced was recycled, with the rest of it ending up as litter on the roads, in landfills, or in streams. The slow degradation in the landfill leads to undesirable landfill gas, or LFG, as we call or as we know. There are emissions, methane in the main, which are very, very harmful. Look at what is happening to the landfill in Ghaziabad. Plastics also contribute to greenhouse gases, in the equivalent of 850 million tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. By 2050, another 30 years, Plastic could emit 56 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions, as much as 14% of the Earth's carbon budget. And by 2100, the figure, we may not be there at that time, that figure is expected to grow to 260 billion tons, staggering by any means, more than half the carbon budget. Look at the harm that it will do to the environment that we live in. Further, the manufacturing of plastic releases many toxic chemicals which are carcinogenic or neurotoxic. They affect the nervous systems. PVC releases vinyl chloride. Polystyrene releases dioxins and benzene. Polycarbons release formaldehydes. Now, all these are carcinogenic, poisonous, and to say the least, extremely dangerous. A highly carcinogenic material, bisphenol A, or BPA as it is called, is used in the manufacture of plastic bottles that we use. Food and beverage cans that we use. This, however, is finally released into the water and food that we drink and eat. We also ingest BPA from the fish we eat. And where do the fish get it from? From the water in which they are found. And from the plastic that is found floating in the ocean. Doesn't the future look dangerous if not addressed? Now, what are the alternatives to plastics? Let's see some of them. Are they really eco-friendly, the alternatives that we are talking about? Can we keep encouraging the use and throw culture? Use it, throw it. Use it, throw it. You must have multiple uses of a certain material that we use. India's per capita plastic consumption is about 15 kilograms. And the recycling rate is 60%. What does that mean? It is possible to recycle, something into something, almost all plastics. But historically, plastics cannot be turned back into their original form, into their original material. Plastic bottles can become materials for park benches. Styrofoam can be used as picture frames, and plastic bags may become composite lumber, but they cannot be converted back into their original material. Can we fix, potholes using plastic waste? An extremely good idea that the governments must do much more to use. McCartney and MacGruber, they gave a solution of turning waste into plastic small pellets. Chemical engineers. And they added into an asphalt mix in place of bitumen, which helps bind asphalt together and so on. And this method must be used on our pothole-riddled roads, whether in Mumbai or Bangalore. We see them all the time on the TV. And people dying, losing their lives for nothing that they did. Between 3 to 10 kilograms of plastic are used in every ton of asphalt, depending on the road design. And alternatives to bitumen must be considered to improve sustainability. The roads are much more sustainable. Now, such plastic road mix is up to 60% stronger and lasts 10 times longer than the standard asphalt, increasing a road's lifespan and prevents potholes. It's very necessary that the government looks at the proposition that I am making. Let's explore another dimension to plastics. According to the All India Plastic Manufacturers Association, India has over 30,000 plastic making units, employing about 4 million people. 2.25 lakh crores market size of plastic processing value and 2,000 exporters in the plastic business. If we were to ban plastics completely, what would happen? Many of these units are in the unorganized sector. In times of economic slowdown, can the country afford layoffs, triggering a further downturn? How will the ban then be enforced? There are conflicting issues to consider, and we will do very well to use plastics as alternate material for probably road building, and an example that I gave earlier. Businesses today are replacing plastic with alternatives like paper and biodegradable materials to manufacture bags, straws, packaging cups, and cutlery. We all may be feeling that that is the right thing to do. But is it the right thing to do? Making paper starts out as a tree in a tree form from a tree farm. It is taken to the mill where the trees are made into pulp. The automated machines would turn them into pulp in a matter of seconds. The pulp is then rolled into a paper. However, we in the country cannot assure environmentally friendly recycled paper, unlike the Forest Stewardship Council FSC certification, which does it in the US. We do not have that kind of systems in place. That being what it is, there is another dimension to the paper industry. With the digital media booming and the decrease in readers of newspapers, the demand for virgin newsprint has been falling. We have all taken to online and digital media for our news. So we don't read the newspapers. So what happens to them in terms of employment? Consequently, the forestry industry is seeking new avenues to rescue the industry from a local recession. Can it be a method for replacing plastic? Time will tell. And our environment preservation methodologies will decide that. Though several benefits accrue to using paper, its biodegradability in 2 to 6 weeks as compared to 500 years for plastic is the most important one. But do you know that the carbon footprint created by use of paper is actually larger than that is used if we use plastic? Research on packaging materials, from raw materials to recycling, using life cycle analysis conducted in the University of Oregon, concluded that the carbon footprint of a plastic bag is less than a paper or a cotton bag due to the water usage and pollution, besides causing deforestation, air pollution, water pollution, and enormous waste. Besides, paper packaging not being able to contain contaminations easily like the plastic containers do. On the economic front, a common plastic bag is reused once, whereas a paper bag would need to be reused 43 times to have the same effect on the environment, and its benefits. What can be done? Paper containers lined with plastic to increase the shelf life, could be thought of. PLA, polylactic acid, or polyester, produced by fermentation under controlled conditions of a carbohydrate source like corn starch or sugarcane, can also be used as a lining on paper products, and which increases its shelf life. It's also fairly easy to recycle back into paper since it's a non-synthetic material whose manufacturing does not rely on chemical reactions. But the agricultural land that is used to grow corn now would not be available to grow food because you're using it to make something else. Every act of ours has a side that may not be very palatable. Human greed must be compared against the economic growth. Remember what Mahatma Gandhi said. There is a sufficiency in the world for a man's need, but not for man's greed. The World Resources Institution, WRI, reports, every year, 13 million hectares of forest is destroyed, while afforestation may add 8 million back. Which means that we are always in the negative. And over a period of time, we will see many of our forests are gone permanently. As alternative, we must explore paper from seaweed or bioplastics made from corn, plant, sugarcane, algae, which is very useful. And they are all created from biopolymers. But then, for everything that we do, there is a flip side, and we must be conscious of that. Paulo Coelho, the Brazilian novelist, had once said, "The world is changed by your example, not by your opinion. Let's change and not opine." Friends, that is the end of the presentation for this Saturday. I hope it was useful, added some value to this Saturday's journey. Until we meet next Saturday, Dhanyavad, Namaskar, and thank you.